pretty dull lives. But no, people would say, you know, when my firstborn came into this world, I'll never forget that. And life has never been the same since. Or my father passed away. That was deeply moving to me. I'm different now in the world. And so, you know, it's kind of like that.
The most glorious part was that it made me feel more comfortable with living, you know, because you're not afraid of dying.
Frankly, I'm just a laboratory scientist, and I wasn't prepared for that.
From the memory of the transcendental state of consciousness, many people report less anxiety, less depression, less preoccupation with pain, closer interpersonal relationships, and perhaps most impressive, they claim to have a loss of the fear of death.
It recalibrates how they see death. It's been amazing hearing them talk about this idea of love. Many of them spoke about how nature itself is something like this substance called love. And having touched that, they've recalibrated it and shaped how they die differently.
The Johns Hopkins psilocybin research team has completed or has underway a total of 9 studies, and it got the world's attention. When we finally released the results of our first experiment in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, it was very gratifying to see how the daily press responded to it.
A little bit of health news for you. A single dose of psychedelic magic mushrooms can make people with severe anxiety and depression feel better for months.
It changes the way they view themselves, other people in the world, from a single experience, not Prozac that you have to keep taking day after day.
These are not chronic drugs, and that's where most of the research and development in big pharma goes. The treatments that are being explored for psilocybin involve 1, 2, maybe 3 pills. That's it. That's not a very good business model. You can't make a lot of money that way.
The core of this mystical experience is a mystery, frankly. It's the existential mystery of what are we really doing here? What's the meaning of all this? And that is a very uplifting kind of experience to have.
As a whole, there's a sense of being part of a larger network. And somehow that's more real after a mystical experience. You feel that you really are connected in some meaningful way with every atom of the universe.
From my perspective, this core experience informs all of the religious, ethical, and moral traditions. I mean, that is the core of love thy neighbor as thyself. If we don't get some of these priorities straight with respect to how we treat other people, how we treat our environment, we're going to cease to exist. I could see this as being critical to the evolution of the species, frankly.
You wouldn't go hiking the Himalaya mountains without any preparation. Well, this is a journey. These are sacraments and medicines that should be treated with respect and caution. Consider it to be going to your own personal church. You're going to sit in awe of the universe.
Our new study, which is kind of remarkable, it's working with religious leaders. These are ordained clergy from many traditions, Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, Hinduism. Since these experiences are at the core of the major religions, why not bring in religious leaders who spent their careers studying this landscape to have the experience?
You guys hear that? You didn't?
Vibrating?
Vibrating. A phone call was coming in. Oh, there she goes. Message from mom. Inbound message from mother.
I think I had the best of all mothers. My mother was extremely kind.
So another mushroom empowers the immune system, and this is turkey tails. And turkey tail mushrooms have also been used for more than 1,000 years. This hit home to me very personally in June of 2009, when my 84-year-old mother called me up and said, "Paul, I have something very serious to talk to you about." She said, "My right breast is 5 times the size of my left. I have 6 swollen lymph glands the size of walnuts." And her voice started shaking, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I started crying. She had stage 4 breast cancer. But then the doctor said, "You know, you're too old to have radiation therapy. You can't have your breast removed. But there's an interesting study on turkey tail mushrooms at Bristol Medical School. You might want to try taking those." And that's, my mother goes, "Well, my son's supplying those." So she was put on Taxol and Herceptin, wonderful drugs. And then she started taking 8 turkey tail capsules a day, 4 in the morning and 4 in the evening. And that was in June of 2009. And today, my mother has no detectable tumors. And I'd like to bring my mother home.
You have to live through it to believe it.
Hey, by the way, thank you for giving birth to me. I really appreciate that.
Oh, you haven't thanked me lately?
It has been reported in the literature that medicinal mushrooms like turkey tail help chemotherapeutic agents work better, and I think she's a living example of that. One can argue with me on the statistics, but my mother's alive, and all of the doctors that saw her did not believe that she would survive.
It is my great honor to introduce Paul Stamets.
I have brought a fungal friend of mine from the old-growth forest, and I present to you agarikon. Agarikon was described in 65 AD as elixirium ad longum vitam, the elixir of long life. So I want to take you on a magical mushroom mystery tour. And I'm going to push the envelope here, folks. Microdiversity is biodiversity. You will decompose. I'm going to decompose. We're all going to die. That's okay, because we will enter into the microverse. We will forever exist together within the micromolecular matrix.
When he talks the way he does, he is channeling the mycelium. And this is a marvelous thing.
Brain neurons, mycelium, the computer internet, the organization of the universe all shares the same archetype. I believe matter begets life. Life becomes single cells form chains, chains forms branches, matrices form interlocking, intersecting mosaics of mycelium and mycelium-like organisms ebb and flow, not only on this planet, on other planets into the future. Thank you very much.
Paul was wonderful in bringing us information about all these aspects of mushrooms. And then it inspired all these young people. Now we have people like Trad Cotter carrying on the great work that Paul started, talking about biopesticides, talking about the ways you could detoxify oil. All of these amazing things were started because people like Paul brought that to the culture at large. And young people now have taken up the cause and are really expanding our insights into what the world of mushrooms can do for us.
Hi. My name's Peter, and I'm with the Radical Mycology Project. I recently trained a mushroom to digest used cigarette filters.
Paul Stamets' book, Mycelium Running, got my mind sort of in a whirl. That was when I first discovered that there was much more to mushrooms than just food.
If you would have seen me when I dropped out of high school, I was just making rap music. I knew very little about the natural world. I never even went on a hike until I was 18. But finding Paul Stamets' TED Talk video was one of the biggest inspirations that pushed me into the wonderful world of mycology.
My first mushroom book was The Mushroom Cultivator by Paul Stamets.
I'll be eternally thankful to him for showing me that it's okay to be mushroom mad.
We really don't even know most fungi. We're discovering new species on a daily basis, and you don't have to go to exotic locations to discover them.
Anybody can add to the science, from identifying a new species to developing a new micromediation protocol.
There's a great need for more people to study fungi, and there's lots of opportunities.
It's amazing what we don't know about mushrooms. They really are a frontier of knowledge. They probably can help us solve all sorts of problems if we would look a little deeper.
Anyone can help by going and walking in the woods and contributing to mycology. You may have found a species that has never been found. We need these mushrooms. We work together as a community to solve problems. We could be the community that heals the planet.
It's been estimated 2/3 of our food supply is bee-pollinated dependent.
Unfortunately, we're losing bees across the world in a dramatic die-off that is very dangerous for the biosecurity of this planet.
So I started exploring ways to help save the bees. And I noticed in the summertime, there's a continuous convoy of bees going from my beehives to my mycelium. But then it dawned on me, well, maybe the bees are benefiting from the mycelial extracts because they have antiviral properties.
And so I cultured the most aggressive strains and then submitted them. We started testing the effects of these extracts in helping bees survive.
Some of these fungal extracts are really good at reducing viral levels in the bee. So here we have a fungus that is helping fight viruses in an insect.
We're using mushrooms to create an entirely new class of materials, which are totally compostable at the end of their lives.
The researchers found that when they heated a portobello mushroom skin to roughly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, it became a lattice of carbon nanoribbon that could be used in battery design because it allows a good amount of surface area for storing energy.
You can filter water. You can create medicinal compounds almost on demand. We work in Haiti, and they look at you like I got superpowers. Well, I tell them, I said, you're about to have superpowers too.
Coming from the background of not having any training, getting myself into the lab was very empowering. I felt like a superhero. I felt like I could do anything. You're officially a mushroom farmer. Sporulating, sporgasm.
I see my species as part of a larger whole, rather than being at the top of the pyramid, being one of the organisms within inside the circle. And the circle is made up of mycelium, holding us all together.
We've always thought of plants as these inert objects, these things that don't actually interact with each other and build things. And what my work is showing, and other people's work as well, it's saying actually they need each other. They need each other to grow in a community so that they can start sharing the load. You do this, I'll do that, and together we can make a beautiful, resilient community. They have incredible capacity to make things change very, very quickly. So if we can work with them, if we get it, as humans get it, we can change this thing really fast. So I am super hopeful. We just got to get busy and help nature do its thing.
Evolution never stops. There's not one point that happens and it doesn't happen again. It's continuously happening. A core concept of evolution is that through natural selection, the strongest and the fittest survive. But moreover, communities survive better than individuals. Communities rely upon cooperation. And I think that's the power of goodness. Evolution is based on the concept of mutual benefit and the extension of generosity.
When we see it, we understand it. And when we understand it, we care about it. And when we care about it, we'll do something to help save it.
We need to have a paradigm shift in our consciousness. What will it take to achieve that? We are not an individual. We are a vast network of molecules and energies and wavelengths. The interconnectedness of being is who we are.
This world of ours is always changing, not for the better or for the worse, but for life. If the storms come and the water rises, if fire scorches the land or darkness descends, we will be here, working, as we always have, extending the network, building community, restoring balance, one connection at a time. It may take 1,000,000 years or 100 million, but we will still be here.
There's a whole wide world right under our feet. Watched you grow, so I hate when you leave. Connected all one leaf to a tree. From the ground is a magical thing. Breathe life, break down, breathe in, break out. This water, this breath will be how we remember.
Lieutenant Paul Stamets.
I became an astromycologist because of awe. Awe at the miracle of life.
How did you feel seeing a fictional character on Star Trek that is inspired by your science?
I'm super honored. I tuned into Star Trek when I was about 12 years old. Spores by the nature travel through the cosmos. When they germinate, some mushrooms form. Some magic mushrooms help you bend time and space.
Paul, if I were to visit you, could we have some of these magic mushrooms?
Nature provides, I don't.
Everywhere and everything. And I am the reason you're breathing. Break down. So breathe in and breathe out. Now this water, this breath will be how we remember. So let it all spread around. Oh, oh, oh. Let it all spread around. So let me bring you back to life again. Oh, let me bring you back to life again. Oh, let me bring you back to life again. Oh. me bring you back.